What's going on? Why don't you tell me what's on your mind, dude?
Yeah, a couple of things, of course, but one of the foremost that I believe is like getting the word out about my game right now, you know? So this has been really tough for just past couple of months because I never looked into marketing. And one of my biggest drawbacks, which I believe so far, was that I did not start building my audience in the beginning. So you can imagine I started my game in April, last April, coming up with some sketches, story, gathering the whole team and stuff. And that was a little bit of a downside where I think things went wrong. I should be careful next time on that, yeah. So yeah, I mean, just really reaching out to people and making my audience, and so that when I'm launching my game, which is hopefully end of this month, we are really hopeful for that because we have worked about 1 year and 5 months already, and yeah, this should be the time now.
All right, so you say hopefully. Do you have a launch date?
Not yet, just because we just ran into a couple of problems, right? So uh, the the thing is, we actually wrote a lot of scripts in Unity ourselves. So because we wanted to tell a story in 2D, and there are a lot of scripts like, there's the interaction script. If you detect this object, there should be animation after a couple of seconds. So these tools were made for us artists in order to just have a flow in the story. We didn't want the programmers to be on our side all the time. So they kind of made all those scripts from scratch for us. And now we're just trying to put the blocks together. But there are some kind of very specific scenarios where we need them. And specific scenarios like, hey, this if this doesn't happen, then you cannot unlock this door. If there is a monster on this side, then this door should be unlocked. And those kind of very specific things we never took some, let's say, in account, basically. So this is where they're spending a lot of time. And we planned our game to be literal in hand, but I think it just really went out because of how the story progressed and how we expanded on kind of new art and new areas. And we like the we couldn't I think we couldn't have a good hand on the scope, basically. But everything is under control. We got it right. We just worked a couple of months to really make sure the story, the mechanics and stuff is good. So our game got picked up by GameJolt. They liked it. So now we actually have a very decent following. We are not really worried about that anymore. People do comment. People do give feedback. People are active. It's great now. So just because of that feedback, we were able to launch our game on Android today. So we released a whole demo on Android, and now there is already 1,000 plus downloads on
Of the game
Android.
Ellen?
Yes.
Is it it's the
Yeah.
demo, right? The version.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
correct.
And you get a
Yeah.
thousand downloads just in your local network, or like doing what
No,
kind
no,
of?
no, 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 no. It's just online. It's online up there.
But what did you
So
do to get those thousand downloads? Did that just happen, or did you do anything? Did you talk to anybody? Did you put it anywhere?
Not really. Well, I did put on Instagram, and we don't have a lot of followers on Instagram. The only good following we have is on GameJolt, and I also went to some Discord servers to promote the game. And there's just a couple of dudes who actually already know about the game as well. And yeah, just more or less like that. But I think it's just maybe because of my audience on GameJolt, they just kind of spread the word out. Because there were these people who actually wanted the game to be on Android. And
Okay.
now there are guys who say, hey, the game is on Android. Can we expect a new game on, can we expect Ellen on iOS as well? So there's a whole different, like a diverse audience we actually have looking forward to cater. Luckily, we're using Unity, and we have good experience with Unity. So it's kind of cross-platform, except Linux. That's where we're stuck still.
So when you release the game, are you going to release it on all the different platforms same time?
I I really doubt that. I think we are really good to go on PC and Mac, right? And hopefully on Android as well, because that's we have taken one of the targeted mobile phones, sorry, the platform in our mind. Because for iOS, we are just not really tapping into it just because of the. I'm not going to say that there is a small market for iOS, but still Android is like pretty diverse, So the more reach we get, maybe the more, people are actually going to follow and, comment, or maybe hopefully we get featured somewhere on Android. But iOS, I think, I mean, in my circle, as far as I know, a lot of people, about 10% of those people use iOS, basically.
I think it really varies by country. And you can actually look up the data. But I know, like in America, I think it's up there 50%. I'm not sure which one's higher, Android or iOS, but I don't. So are you planning on releasing Android, Mac, and PC at the same time?
We're going to release PC and Mac at the same time. I think the Android is going to follow up maybe a couple of weeks after. That's how we have planned so far.
What about the pricing? How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, so pricing is very interesting place, right? I think I've played a couple of games, and I did buy a couple of games as well, depending on the genres that like for example, games that are similar to Ellen at this point. And I did see the pricing, and I did see some kind of stats as well. So I believe we're just gonna be 12 plus on that, somewhere on PC and Mac. I'm not sure about Android.
Okay, but are you positive you're going to charge for it on Android?
Yes, because it deserves it. We spent very good time. The graphics, I mean, so far whatever we have received as feedback, it's really positive. I mean, there is hardly we ever heard anything negative. Hardly. I mean, I don't really remember as well. Cool. So I think the community really wants it, and they really want it very well done. That's what we are looking for.
I would say I would look into iOS only because, one, it should be pretty easy to go to iOS if you already have an Android build with Unity. Two, generally in my experience, iOS tends to be better for paid apps. Android tends to be better for free-to-play or ad-based monetization. At least in the United States anyway, a higher percentage tends to buy premium apps on iOS than they do on Android. And it's been a while since I've tested that. It's been 2 or 3 years, so it could have changed. Just throw that out there. But back when I used to do this stuff for companies, that was the numbers.
Yeah.
So do you have a plan to launch the whole thing?
Not really, because right now there's a couple of things we're really looking into, and looks like we're fine with PC and Mac, and when I said I'm hopeful, I mean we are hopeful in a really positive way, because a lot has been done, but I cannot trust very tiny little bits that just mess up somewhere in the end, and it's something that you find out when you're testing, and especially because the team who's working on Ellen, we work it on every single day, and like our eyes actually don't see those little problems. And those problems are, when you have this guy who's not working on Ellen, he just sits down and said, "Hey, dude, are you serious? There's a little problem here. Oh my God." So I have all these 10 scenarios connected, and I'm going to just kind of reconnect again, go back into the code, because we never made any kind of real script that can actually hold all of them, which is absolutely fine. But we are also lack on beta testers, by the way. Beta testers who actually are who like to play the same kind of genre, storytelling games, 2D pixel art games, mystery puzzle games. So that's what we are lacking here. And unfortunately, it's a little bit hard for me to get those beta testers here in Pakistan, because we don't have really that diverse community. So the people like to play games like PUBG and Counter-Strike and all those things. So there is a little bit narrow, like not a little bit, there is a very narrow market here. So I did find a couple of people who are pretty good, and they're helping me to get test Ellen, but they're still not. I mean, everybody's busy, Hey, I go to school. Hey, I'm just going to work, and I can give you only 3 hours per week. But that's okay.
Are you finding people in person, or are you finding people online?
Online. Can't do in person.
Okay.
That's online. That's correct.
Where are you going to find people?
Reddit. I just went to Reddit for Linux, and apparently Linux is not really working out just because of different flavors. So we just locked Ubuntu, and that's going to be our I don't want to say that's the least thing, but that's going to be our last platform we really target.
Okay.
Because we already ran into so many problems, and we spent about more than 2 weeks just trying to make it work. And there's a big community. They actually write to us, hey, I need it on Linux, and then other guys say, hey, I'm using Mint. So it's pretty hard to really make that work. Working out for now.
So when you say you're lacking on beta testers, do you want stuff for other platforms, or you just want the Linux ones?
No. I actually need, we actually need people for PC and Mac for sure, because I know that's my market. That's where I really want my game to really stand out, because it's already happening. It's already happening. We have no troubles for that. Right. If there's a fix, we fix it overnight. We fix it next hour. There's a problem, we patch it up very, very quickly.
So what's your plan to get beta testers for Windows and Mac?
I did try on again on Reddit, because Discord is great, but I see for example, if there are like some promoted or help, if you to post something over there's already people, there are like only 10 people who post the next 10 seconds, and then your post is just it just goes down, and nowadays there's hardly any reply. That's a little bit kind of sad situation here. So, for example, it's some sort of like a dumping ground. Help is some sort of a dumping ground on some channels, sadly. So, hey, I need this help. I need beta testers, and there's no reply. So go to another channel, try to find out a very good community. Hey, I need beta testers. A little bit on help. So I'm not posting everywhere, by the way. So that's also one thing. I don't really want to spam channels.
So what's the process?
That's hard to find.
Like you post your link? Do you ask for like email addresses? Like do you send them to a page? What's the process?
So the process is, of course, I give a 2-line description about the game. There's a link to the game that is on GameJolt, right? And then I say, hey, if you're interested, you can actually just DM me right away. Send me a direct message, and we can talk about it.
Is there
and there have been the. Sorry.
Is there a reason you're doing it that way?
I'm just leaving it like an open ground to people. Like it's an open thing if you really want to do that, because, yeah, I mean I did not find any other way to really approach people that way, because I just don't want to say, hey, dude, I don't even know if I should say I need 10 people or something. I'm just like, if somebody's interested, because even though if I'm saying like, hey, if you're interested, just, DM me, but there's no reply. So it looks like it's kind of,
so,
it's.
Are you still struggling with this though? Like you're having trouble finding people to play the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have players for the game, but I don't have a lot of people for beta testing my game. That's the thing.
Okay. What's your distinction in that? What's the difference to you?
So the thing is, let's say I have about 1,500 plus followers on GameJolt. Okay. And when I do post, there are about 800 people, 900 people who actually expand my post, like a devlog. All right. But there are only 10 of them who actually write some kind of feedback. Okay. And then those 10 of them are not going to be the people for the next post who are going to be leaving a feedback again necessarily, So, I mean, I just know like maybe one guy who actually kind of is writing on almost every single post, right? 1 or 2 people, basically. And yeah, apart from those people, I'm not sure, because I need somebody to be really interested, or just to, it's not just about helping out. The second thing, I'm not sure if I'm going to beta test. Let's say if I have beta testers, how should it really work out? If they ask for payment, I need to speak to them. Do they ask for credits? Do they ask for a letter from my company that, hey, I was the beta tester? Maybe in future I might go into beta testing games or something. I'm very open to those things, but not really good luck at this point.
Okay. Are you open to hearing how I did things? Maybe it might help you out.
Sure, please.
All right. So one of the things that I did early on was I ran into the same problem that you ran into, where you post about it, you get X percentage of the people that actually commented, and then the next time you want to post about it and you have a new build, you got to go through the same process, right? And then
Mhm.
same percentage of people, it's tiny. What you want to do, at least what I wanted to try and do, was eliminate that problem. And what I did is actually set up a landing page specifically for beta testing, and I gave all the details. Here's what you're going to need. Here's what you're going to do. I would send people, and then at the end it says enter your name and email if you want to be on this list to possibly beta test. And then when they're on that email list, every time I post a post about it and I send people to the same spot, I'm no longer just dealing with 1 or 2%, because that list is growing every time, right? So
Hmm.
you're growing people over time, and every time you can send an email for a new build or something, you have those people. You still need new people a lot, because sometimes you need a new person to go through a newer build because the other people have already seen it or whatever, and they won't find the same problems. But that tends to work. And then another thing on the flip side of that too is I had trouble with actually, after people would sign up, actually getting them to follow through, like actually
Hmm.
getting them to play the game, or I needed videos of them playing the game. So I actually put the requirements up front, which decreased the conversion. So I said, like, I need a month from you. Like, you're gonna test this at least once a week for a month or something. I need
Okay.
I need you to record a video of yourself doing this, or fill out a Google form, or whatever's easy. And I actually told them that up front. And I set up a page with a video that seemed to work really well. It was just me talking to the camera, explaining all this, and then it was all in text as well. And I don't think I have the page anymore. I would show it to you. But once they knew the requirements, some people didn't respond. Most people agreed to the requirements. And then after they were actually in the list, I felt like I had a pretty active list of people that would respond to stuff and interact. It takes a
Hmm.
while to build that up, but it's a very useful asset, right?
Yeah.
I would attempt something like that. You can use something like MailChimp, which is completely free, and you can start to build an email list. They'll
Yeah.
give you a little link that you can just send to people to sign up their email, and that might work.
Well, probably, maybe it worked for you if maybe you actually had a lot of followers or people who were following your game, maybe. And it also depends where it actually went on, right?
Well, the problem is I don't want people that are in my circle to give me feedback on my game. Because no offense to anybody, but they tend to fanboy, like, oh,
Hmm.
it's great, it's
Hmm.
fantastic, woohoo, Tim, we love you. And I'm like, I don't want
Hmm.
that kind of feedback. Like, that's useless feedback to me. So I
Hmm.
actually tried this on Reddit, on forums, on Facebook groups, stuff where
All
people
right.
had no idea what I posted. Um,
Okay.
they,
Away from people that know you,
yeah,
that
yeah,
already.
exactly. And
Okay.
it actually really helps to get them interested in the game first. So on Reddit, for example, especially like, because my game is really, it's around the fear of love and all that stuff. So around Valentine's Day, it was really good for me to talk about this game that stamped out love, and get a lot of people interested. And then on the website, of course, there was a link to beta
Hmm.
testing, and a lot of people click through
Yeah.
that. So tying it to creative stories, getting people interested in the game, I think is a good kind of hook point to get people to beta test. And it's almost like a free intro to them. And if you can spin it however you want. So if you say, hey, I need your help, please help me, I need help, that's one way. Or you could say, hey, you get the opportunity to test this awesome game, right, for free, and you don't have to pay for it. The way you say it is important too. Like the way you,
Exactly. That's great. That's great.
does that make sense?
And yeah, that does make sense. And what would the beta testers get out of your play? I mean, of course they play the game. That's perfect, right? What's next? Do they get? Do they get some credits? Of course.
Um,
Or
I was going to give them all a copy of the game when it launches. I didn't tell them that though. I was just going to do that to be nice. But yeah, all they do is they get early access to the game. And you seem to have an interested audience, right? Everybody on
yeah,
stream,
yeah,
when I played it, they
yes,
loved the game.
yes.
So I think that would be enough. And if you offer them a free copy when the game is complete, I think that would be, people would be ecstatic about it.
Yeah, because you're actually right. Because there is something that exactly happened to me. For example, there were these couple of people that are from my circle. I know. And because I also teach 3D art in Blender as well in the university and local schools. So I just got a couple of these students. They're really happy to test my game, but they were just not doing me a favor. But they were just like because it's my game, so they were always good about it, and it was so hard for me to find out what was wrong in this game.
Yeah.
And of course, there were wrong things as well, but they never said it out. So I think what you're saying is exactly what I'm looking for. I really want that. I really want that.
Yeah.
Some audience that doesn't know me, you know, and that's how it's going to work probably. That's correct. Yes.
There was a guy that I found. I don't know where he came, but he was a very angry person, and he would play the game and he would record himself. He would just say, "This sucks. This is horrible. I hate this level. This game's too slow." But it was so helpful, dude. It was like so hard to listen to because I was like, "Oh, this is my baby here," but it was so helpful. Like, thank you, dude. Thank you for just going through and doing that. It was great. It's hard to find those people. And they're not in your inner circle. They're not your friends and family. They're not people that have, learned from you or feel like they owe you something. You got to find like the ones, which helps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I need someone who actually tells me for real, just in my face, dude, this story doesn't work. This doesn't make sense. Why this scenario? Because this happened before, or this mechanic is just useless.
Yeah.
I just really want to know those things. I don't want to be in this point because we are so close, first of all, to launch. And let's say, in any case, if you can delay, we're just not going to delay more than 15, 20 days, like 2 weeks or a couple of weeks, nothing more than that, because we're done. We're almost done here. And let's say if somebody really jumps in, and they say, hey, dude, this mechanic is not working all the way through. Second guy, third guy, fourth guy. And like, shit, dude, we just kind of messed up here,
Yeah.
And we do have a very good, how do you say, a way out, because this is a paranormal game. There are paranormal things happening. There's a scary story. There are a lot of places we can actually just go away with things. We can just make things up.
Right.
That we actually have that perfect place right here in our game. But apart from that, I have no other way to cover up any things anymore. It's just going to be really, really tough on the end, especially if it goes to the mechanics, even though it's so simple so far.
Yeah, I mean, the next phase of your issue seemed like beta testing. You think we've kind of solved that? You think you have a plan moving forward?
Yes. If I could really get some, just a couple of really good people who are really interested in finding every nitty-bitty stuff, something out of it.
Right.
I think it's going to be still going to be helpful, and I'm more than happy to just put it off for a week or two to really make sure we are not going to make any kind of trouble later.
All right. So the next phase of that, I think, is actually your launch, right?
Yeah.
You have to launch it, and you have to figure out how to get the word out there.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you keep saying these things like, I'm gonna month, maybe we'll delay it a week or two, but for marketing, I really feel like you need to pick a launch date. Like, you need to lead up to that date. You need to get people excited. You need to let people know what's coming. Just dropping it randomly is not going to get you the response that you want. Do you have an objective for like the amount of sales that you want to get and stuff like that?
I'm not really sure on that right now as well. I mean, things really went wrong from my side in the beginning as well. I told you, if I were to have my audience since the beginning, I'm sure things would be so different. 1.5 years. I just got about like 1,500 followers in just a month. If I were to be doing this, I don't know, a whole year, I think I probably would have more than 3,000, 4,000 followers really looking forward to my game.
Yeah.
And those 4,000 followers, if let's say 1,000 of them would actually just talk about my game to their friends, then their friends, and so on, that was very good for me. But sadly, I was not aware of how marketing is so difficult. It's actually more difficult than making an actual game, and just programming and it's just like a whole game itself. Marketing is a whole game on its own.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of work.
I'm just reading books. I'm just watching a lot of YouTube videos, trying to speak with people who have actually made it as a success. And then I also find people who just kind of like still floating on the things. And I don't want to float, to be honest, so I just really want to make it work. And not on the desperate side, but because of my game. And I know it can do good, basically. Yes, if I go to Steam and I demo Steam for a while, I actually have a lot of wish lists already, about 1,000 plus wish lists on my Steam.
Cool.
And just like there's an increase of I don't know, 20 wish list every single day. That's actually a very good number for me, you know.
So, I mean,
So
push comes to shove, if you get that many sales, are you going to be happy?
you mean that's just, let's say if I have like 1,000 sales for the first month?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
actually that's pretty decent. Really good actually.
okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I asked you to pick an objective is because when you have a target, we can work backwards and make that happen, right?
Mm.
Like we can figure out how to make it happen. Now, wish lists, everything has a mathematical formula to it. Conversion rates, it all works out mathematically. So if 100 people view a page, 2 people might end up buying, and then one of those people might buy again in the future, right? Like there's some mathematics there, you just don't know what it is. So out of a
Yeah.
1,000 wish lists, certain percentage of those people are going to actually look at your game on launch, certain percent of those are going to buy the game on launch, and so on and so forth. Um, it's all a numbers game, and I would say this is just me. This is not numbers based on anything because I don't have a game on Steam. I don't know how it works,
Mhm.
but I do know conversion rate on average on a landing page is about 3%. Three
All
percent
right.
is a good conversion rate to sales. Like if you get 3% to sales, you're doing good. So keep that number in mind. You have 1,000
Yeah.
people. That's not 1,000 sales, but that's generally about 3%. That works out well. Um,
Yeah.
that being said, if you want to make 1,000 sales, all you got to do is figure out the math and work backwards, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
pick a launch date and then figure out how many people you actually need to reach to get to that point. Like, what do you need to do? And then just systematically start trying it. And the reason why I think a launch date is important, even if you add a month to it or 2 months or whatever you think is going to take
Mhm.
you, double it, um,
Yeah.
you can count backwards to that, and you can kind of have a quota per week, right? You can say,
Yeah.
okay, well, if I got to get 20,000 people or 10,000 people, whatever, over 2 months, well, then what does that break down to a week? What does that break down? And just try and systematically reach people that way and do that. Do you have any sort of plan as far as like your marketing goes? Like how you're going to get people
Oh, well, yes. So my plan is something like this. I think I'm actually going to reach out to people who already played my previous game that's on Steam, Dear Man. So it was the Oculus Rift
Cool.
virtual VR storytelling, or you can play it without. And there are a couple of YouTubers who, like for example, Markiplier. He actually made a whole live game. Actually, he actually played. For example, he was wearing this deer costume and he was running, and people were trying to shoot. He made a whole live action video out of that, and that actually gave me a huge sales. Like that month was just perfect. That month was just equivalent to next 4 or 5 months, just because of the viewers that actually went to his page. Then there is another one. Her name is Gamer Girl Gab. She's pretty interested in horror games. So I have these couple of 2, 3 people who will hopefully, and again, once again, going to promote my game when I tell them, you guys played Dear Man, hey, go for it. And apart from that, I think it's just going to be super straightforward. I mean, Steam does a pretty good job, to be honest, selling my still Dear Man. It's selling okay because it's already 2 years old almost, and it's a very small game, like I don't know, 25 minutes. Because at those times you were not allowed to create a VR game more than 20 minutes because of the eye strains and all those things. So I mean, it does a pretty good job already, and I think looking at horror games and the sales on Steam Spy, even though that stuff is down now, these games actually do pretty good so far. And one of my reason was to start this pixel art game was because I saw a couple of pixel art games who rated so well in pricing and also in sales. Like there's a game, and it sold about more than 300, 400,000 copies for I don't know 2 years or so,
But you
and
have
that game
no
cost
idea
about
what
like
went into that.
I mean yeah.
You have no idea what the marketing and you don't know how long they were working on it. You don't know what connections they
No,
have.
Actually, I mean, it's very hard for me to make connections just because of my location here.
Right.
As I told you, it's just really hard because I mean, it's hard to get out to showcase my game to different countries. It's hard to. I mean, there's if I could get a chance to showcase my game, that's going to be one big step for me to really put my game in hands of different people can just come there, who like to play the game, who want to follow the game, know more about the game. I mean, if I try to remember, I probably only had about 5 to 10 people so far in an year and a half who actually really know about my game right away. They found it somewhere. They actually wrote me, "Hey, can I know more?" or stuff. But there is no right first play hand I could ever find, just because it's hard to get to. I mean, we don't have any kind of um, exhibitions here, gaming exhibitions and stuff. So that's yeah. I mean, things would be different, of course, because of the place where you are. For example, yeah, I think so. This is one of the things I would. Yeah, I would like to tag with somebody. For example, right now, our game got accepted in Russia. It's White Knights Moscow. And I spoke to one of my students who actually taught 3D Blender online, Blender 3D online. And so he's helping me out. He's going to go there. He's going to showcase. I already bought him a ticket. I already bought stuff for the booth. And he's going to put this game in front of because Unity is organizing this White Knight Russia. So he's going to be there. So this is my first experience now. I don't know how many followers I get or how many people really want to know this.
That's cool. Do you have something in place to capture contact info and stuff?
Yes. There's going to be a tiny form as well. So they can fill in or they can follow the game on spot and things like that. Yeah. And we're also giving away some flyers. It's going to be on 17th and 18th of October. That's next month.
Are you going to have a launch date by then?
I should better have one because it looks like, if there is no launch date, just kind of, I have no ending point. If there is no launch date, I don't feel like there's an ending point to this.
Well, that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's the problem.
And we'd be here a year from now and you're still like, oh, just a couple more weeks,
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking at it as a commercial venture, at some point you got to say, this is what I put into this. Now I need to get equal or greater value out, right?
Yeah.
But also, just from a marketing standpoint, like just telling somebody sign up for the list and it's going to come out someday is way different than it's going to come out next month or next year or whatever. It makes people look forward to it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even though I have very good people who are funding my game, I mean, the whole game has been funded, by the way. So they're taking away for the animations cost and things like that. But still, I think that this actually, because my game actually got funded right away, I'm probably just kind of like, taking it a little bit easy, but it's not that easy.
You want to make them their money back too, so they'll fund your next game, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
That's what I have to do.
Dude, I posted a video the other day about comfort zone. It sucks. It's very dangerous because you're just like, oh, I could, but I don't need to. And it's just like, it's a very dangerous place to be because you don't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
But whenever you're sure, dude, I don't want to force you into a release date if you don't think you're sure. But whenever you're sure, you need to have at least a month or two, at least minimum, to count down to work backwards with a plan.
Wow.
Okay, because you mentioned a couple times like on Steam stuff and other horror games did well and you think yours will do well. You just remember you may make a great game, but always assume you sell 0 copies by default. Just by default, natively, everybody should assume that, even if it's not true, right? Because I'd much rather everybody work too hard and do well than like just say, oh, cross your fingers and hope and then be let down, right? Because that's a soul-crushing moment. You don't want that to happen.
That's crazy. That's correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're ahead of most people in that regard. You have wish lists, you have Game Jolt people, you have all this stuff, but it's just going to come down to working backwards, figuring out a plan, doing the math, figuring out what you need to make a financial success. I would pick an actual number. I want to make 1,000 sales. I want to make X amount of dollars, whatever, and work backwards and figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one real way to go, probably. Yeah, just to be sure of things and to be practical about things, I guess.
Yeah, I would always be safe than sorry, especially on a project that you love that you worked on for this much of your life, right? You don't want it to just
Yeah,
okay and just you know do a little bit. Especially like I
yeah.
said, if you may be okay because you got your game funded, but if you do well and they make money, they'll fund your next game, right? Like so,
Exactly. I'm sure they're going to do that. And I really want this because I really want this game to do so good so that I can get my game funded again from the same company because they're open to it.
yeah,
But only as long as this game actually returns very good money, pay off the funding amount, and then, maybe, of course, give them more of that. So they'll be looking forward to fund my next game as well. We
yeah.
already had a good talk about this. But yeah, so gonna get, I will be thinking about this through with my team on the launch date because I would like to involve these programmers. They also know their part, in there is
So
yeah,
looking forward to the future, what do you got to do on your plate? What are you gonna make happen?
yeah, very soon, very soon.
Tell me specifically what you're gonna make happen.
I think so. Well, first of all, I would like to have some couple of beta testers now. I
Okay.
mean, I really need them to test my game, story-wise, mechanic-wise, and all those things. Just put things in order, right? Who are critical, like maybe three angry people, super angry people, as you said, and and then moving on. Just want to speak with the programmers and get a good launch date where the art side and the programming side do not clash anywhere on the mechanics, on any kind of scenarios. If there is something very important and we seem to have some kind of, let's say, we think there's going to be delay from the programming or art side, we just kind of justify that with putting actual numbers on it. Yeah. And then I think, yeah, I should be announcing a launch date in next week, hopefully. But I really need to speak to them to make sure because my teammates, they are not here. So we work from different countries. One of them goes to school. The other has a full-time job. I mean, I'm working full-time on this game and with one of my programmer here. So and then there's a studio that we hired in Philippines. So they do animations for us. So it's like just everywhere, just try to, I
Right.
want to make sure everything is here. So looking
Now, what
forward to
about the
that.
marketing stuff?
Yeah, marketing is
Your
so
face
hard.
it dropped. You're
Yeah,
just like, oh, marketing.
yes,
Marketing.
actually, yes. I mean, it's so hard. I'm still, even though I've been studying about this marketing for about 2 months now, I still am not sure. Even though I've been talking to a lot of indie developers now, everybody seemed to have his own way.
Right.
Hey, this worked out for me, that worked out of me, that worked out for me. This was my golden chance. This was my silver point. This is where it went out. People knew about my game, and boop, it just out. I mean, for me, all I can rely on right now is just I can keep my audience engaged on Game Jolt. I have to do this because my audience is very active. I mean, there are a lot of people. There are like sometimes more than 50 people who are liking my game every single time, and I have constantly people following my game every single day. So I'm always almost on the front page. We are constantly putting on devlogs. We are keeping people assured what's happening. However, what I would like to do for next couple of days is maybe Twitch stream my game. When I'm making an art or something, because I did it twice and I did get a very good response. But I have not been consistent on that, which is not a good thing from my side.
Right.
So yeah, so I think to be honest, this is what all I have in my plate, and I do not really have a lot of knowledge about marketing at this point. And I mean, there's a lot to handle as well. There's a lot to manage. There's a lot of because I do the art as well. I work on the story. I recheck the mechanics with these guys. I'm doing the audios, so I'm putting on those audios as well. So it's like a very small team, and everything has to be right. I do the post processing. I do the things there. So I'm the junior artist, but there is a lead artist as well. So I have to make sure, things are happening. Speak with the animation studios back in Philippines, get the right stuff, resize the animations, and put them in Unity. Make sure this is ready for the programmers. This is all of my work,
It's a lot of work.
and this is where it's a lot of work. That's true. It's a lot of work, but I'm learning a lot. Oh my God, I'm learning so much.
It's
And,
cool.
and, and you know what is the best part about this thing right now? All the scripting assets that we have made, a lot of tool assets that we are making. I think if we have an idea about next 2D game, it doesn't have to be horror, by the way. We have scripts that can just drag and drop. It will be exactly like visual scripting now. So our next game, if we have good assets, we have a lot of stuff, we know how things work, I think it's going to take maybe half the time or something. Not a big game, keep game, like 2 hours of gameplay, an hour of gameplay, a nice one.
You have a toolbox now. It's good.
Exactly. We have a whole kit now. That's what I already see here. Very nice. I mean, I'm not a real programmer, so these guys, I mean, I'm just sitting down and we all artists, we're just connecting things. Hey, play the animation. There's an audio, text repeated in different languages. So we have everything localized already. Because I know when we launched Dearman and we went on with Chinese and Russian, there was a big boom in the sales. That was incredible. So we have all those things already locked in because of learning from the previous example.
So it sounds like you got that handled.
Yeah.
Do you have any plan for marketing besides the Twitch streaming?
Plans for marketing? I think I'm actually going to do nothing really. I am not sure because it's really hard. For marketing, I only have access to online stuff. So I only have a community on GameJoule, so I don't have a lot of emails I can follow up. I send emails. I did not make a whole emailing list as well, So whatever, I think I don't know how it's going to be.
You're gonna leave it to chance?
This time it's going to be on chance for now because
Hey, if you make that decision, dude, if you make the decision to leave it to chance, then it's all good. You stop stressing about it. But
yeah.
just be prepared, it's a numbers game. So it depends on what you want, what your results are. That's why I asked you what your objective was.
So I mean, I'm just not a real question here. So for a person who actually have 0 exhibitions happening in the city or the country, right? One thing. Secondly, there is no gaming community. Nobody knows how to make a game around here. All right. So, and the only option I have, the only option. So imagine I'm in a cave and I'm trying to reach out to people. Nobody knows about me. And nobody will know about me locally around here, and I cannot get out of the cave. How can I reach to different people? That's the only option, is the internet. And on the internet, I can trust Discord, I can trust Reddit, I can keep on writing posts on different forums. That's the only place I can hook up. And all these different places can actually bring my audience to my GameJolt page, so that at least there is already 1,500 people and people still trust it. Hey, this game is doing good. There are 1,500 people. I can be part of them. But I think looking at the time frame, looking at the situation here, in that sense, I'm thinking of leaving it to the chance because it's not working out. It can't happen. And
Do you want me to give you my take on this?
Please, I would love to. Because
okay. So a couple times you've mentioned that you don't have anybody locally. You don't have anything. All you have is the internet. And the way that you say it is like the internet is the second-rate solution. It's the worst solution. I would argue that it's probably the most significant thing you could ever have access to. You have access to millions of people all over the globe. My entire community, not one person did I build in person. All of it's been online. If you look at some massive, massive communities, they're all built online. The internet is the connecting force between the globe, the entire population of all of humanity.
Yeah.
And you have access to it. You have direct access to it.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
think you're not looking in the right places. And in your brain, you're saying, "Oh, I don't have this, so I can't be successful." But that's not true. In reality, you have access to the single most biggest, most significant thing to ever happen to humanity. Okay, you have the connecting force between millions of people. You can do it. It's possible. And if anything, if you were going to say, should I market locally? And let's say you had a bunch of people locally, I would still tell you, no, that's a waste of time. That's not scalable. The internet is scalable. You can post one thing on Reddit and 150,000 people can see it. You talk to
Yeah.
one person in person and that one person knows that you exist, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just
Actually,
have to think in terms of scalability. You have to think in terms of who's going to buy my game, who, and where do they hang out. That's it. That's marketing 101. The reason you said you contacted people and they said they all do things differently, but they're all doing that thing. Who is going to buy my game and where do they hang out? Then all you got to do is go find them, right?
a
It's,
specific place.
yeah, it's forums, Facebook groups, just different places. Google stuff. Go in their mind. What would they Google? What do they look for? I was funny. I was laughing at my mom because we were hanging out a while back, and I was like, "Mom, what do you search when you go on Android? Like, how do you find games?" Because she's always playing mobile games, and I always told her my dream is to make a game that she'll play as much as she plays Bubble Pop. And she's like, "Oh, I just search fun puzzle games," and I'm just like, "Okay, well, like that." The reason why I'm not getting in front of the right audience, like if I made a game called Fun Puzzle Game, maybe that would show up in search there, right? Maybe she would see it. Maybe just kind of get in their head, understand how they work, understand what they search for, understand what they look for.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Those keywords, right?
yeah.
Keywords and the right places.
What streamers do they
Yeah.
watch? What YouTubers do they watch? You said you have a couple streamers that played your first game. That's a great place to start. But there are probably hundreds of streamers just like them that have similar audience, that have audience
Yes.
overlap. Right?
You're right about that. Yeah.
There are magazines and stuff that have similar overlap that these people also watch. Just figure, like, it can seem overwhelming when you think of it as marketing, the big thing that determines how many sales you get, all this stuff. But just, I'm telling you, work backwards. If you want 1,000 sales, figure out what that is at 3% conversion, right? I'm not a math genius, but how many people does that see on your wish list? And then work backwards. Literally pick that number and just work for it, right? Try this, try Facebook groups, try this. And I would, if you just spend a week, dude, 1 week, that's it. Think of it like your development work, because you do all the stuff for the game, right? But this stuff is important too. Think of it like that and just go on all these different places and try stuff. Try posting on Facebook group. Try posting on Reddit in different subreddits. Google different subreddits for whatever horror games or whatever you need to look for. Try a bunch of different stuff and see if it works.
Yeah.
And then if none of it works, then you could be like, okay, I tried it, but I guarantee you're going to find something that works significantly better than all the rest. And that's what you could double down.
I'm going to be honest. I mean, I did not try it that much, and I didn't really spend a lot of time in there. So, yeah, I mean, you're correct. I mean, internet is the biggest thing ever happened so far. In general, like I'm connected to.
You seem very dismissive of it. Like it's not that big of a deal, but I think it's the most helpful thing you could possibly have.
I think what you said in the middle is that I did not look into the right place. Where.
Yeah.
That where. Yes, I did not really focus into that. That's correct. So in my mind, I just always looked after, hey, there is Steam. They do marketing as well, all kind of thing. Okay, they're going to put my game in front of people. That's cool, fine. But that particular where thing, I never really browsed, to be honest, the Facebook groups or Reddit in that depth to find out, and especially the keywords, like, as you said, your mom said fun puzzle games right away, So think of not being a developer, but imagine like I want to play this kind of game. So what I would search for, basically, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Always try and get in their head. That's all the marketing is. You're trying to understand what they're thinking. You could even ask some of your game gel people, how do you find horror games that you like? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do they do? And
what do you search for? What do you search for? Yeah. What do you search for when you're looking for horror games?
And guarantee you go on Facebook right now, in the top tab, you type in horror games, horror game fans, whatever, you'll find a ton of Facebook groups. You can join those groups. Go talk to those people. Hey guys, what are your favorite horror games? Hey, I'm making a game. Would you like to beta test? You know, you could just, they're all there, just waiting in a group around the interests that you are building. And
Yeah.
same thing with forums and everything all over the internet. So who are they? Where do they hang out? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you
Two
gotta
places,
figure out.
two things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Was that helpful?
Yeah, very helpful, because that's what I have actually missed. And this whole market thing, it looks like it's kind of a huge, never-ending thing. You know, there's no end to this, no start to that. So cool.
Now you got
This
a
is
mathematical end and you have a way to get to it.
yes, that's correct. On it for sure.
So
Thank you very much, Tim.
we
Yeah.
gotta run, but real quick, what was the most helpful thing in this whole conversation for you?
This whole part that I actually missed, who and where, because for me there was no starting point for the marketing and there was no ending point. And even though I try to read a lot of books, a lot of YouTube videos, but I never thought about being a player myself. So I always thought about, hey, you know, I'm developing this game. How can I put it out to people? But I never thought from the other side, hey, if I'm the player, am I going to buy this game? Why? What am I looking for?
Right.
I've never thought about this because I've just been developing day and night, and that's what I'm. And I think this is why I never reached to an ending point, because I never looked from the other side.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that it was able to help you a little bit. So
Thank you very much,
we
Tim.
gotta
Thanks
run.
a
We
lot.
gotta pop on the meeting, but I'll see
right.
you next, dude.
I'll see you. Take care. Thanks, Tim. Bye bye.
See you.